Hey everybody, it's Stephanie again, and you're tuned into the review of Married at First Sight Season 9, the reunion episode. Before I get started, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so you can be the first to find out when I post any videos, any reviews, or new content. Okay, so let's get started. Last night's review episode was pretty good. I think they drew it out as well. I think these last few seasons they have drawn out some of the most basic stuff, but they drew it out. I was glad to see Kevin Frazier back because I think he does a really good job kind of bringing out these issues and poking the bear a little bit, asking the questions that may not be comfortable. You can clearly tell some of them don't want to answer it. They had the couples this time come out, and I can't remember the others. I'm sure they're probably similar, but last night they had each couple come out together, talked about their whole experience, and then they had the couples come out at the end, and they had the whole group experience, which was just pretty cool. So let me just kick it off with Keith and Iris. I don't have too much to say really about these couples this time around because I think they're like kind of fishing for something for the reunion. I think a lot of people were wondering if Keith and Iris would be dating again or if they had been dating, and clearly that's not going to happen. And I hope that Iris doesn't wait or hope, because it's interesting that they have these friendships afterwards, and it's kind of like with something where you put your heart and soul into and you wanted it to work out in a certain way and it didn't, and you guys were intimate, even if you didn't have sex, you guys were intimate in a way that you haven't been with anybody else. It's weird to see the dynamic of what a friendship really looks like for them. And I also wonder, is the friendship healthy for her specifically, not necessarily for Keith, but for her, because is it kind of convoluting her idea about what it is, and is it keeping things at bay, like, oh, there might be a chance if he says something. And I feel like last night I saw her and I was thinking, okay, by now she knows when he finally said, because Kevin pushed, because Keith is walking on eggshells, he's on the fence, but we all know that, his answer is no. Obviously he asked for a divorce, and even with the idea of dating again, he's saying no. So I was glad that he finally said it after being pushed, because he wants to be seen as Mr. Nice Guy. Just be honest. And I will say that about Keith. We gave Iris a hard time this season, but that's why towards the tail end of the season, I was a little concerned with Keith kind of not showing up as best as he could and putting in as much effort as he should have. It was all about her. Keith is very guarded, and he also says a lot of things that he doesn't think about saying them to his partner. He'll say them maybe to somebody else, something that could actually be fruitful to the relationship, but he doesn't really say it to the person. And that's who matters. It's not who you're telling if the person that you're telling is not the one that you're in the relationship with. And I will say this because I forgot to say this the last couple of episodes. Keith's mom, I really like her, okay? But Keith's mom kind of dropped the ball with the way that she provided some feedback for him. So when right before decision day, he didn't really know what he wanted to do. He wasn't really sure. He didn't know what decision he wanted to make, or he was leaning one way, and he calls his mom to get advice. And she basically is like, well, I don't know, baby. It's like, what do you think? What do you feel? Not good. Okay? Not good. Listen, when you seek out the wisdom of your parents or an external person, you're seeking to gain something that you don't have yourself. You're seeking for an objective that you cannot see because you're in it. You can't see around it because you're in it. So that was the time for mom to offer some wisdom that he doesn't know. He doesn't yet embody. Something that they've been married. His parents have been married for 25 plus years, I think. They've been together for a long time. She's been on this planet for much longer than her son. This is the time to say, hey, I'm going to offer you this fruit that you have not yet tried. Do with it what you will. That doesn't mean that I would have changed his decision, but I wish she would have kind of been a little more direct with saying, hey, look at things this way, or look at things that way, or have you considered this? I also wish that I would have seen Keith get some more male guidance. He's like very close to his mom, and that's so sweet, but there's some stuff that you need to talk to a man about from a male perspective and a woman from a woman's perspective, because we understand it in different ways. So Keith's mom is going to want to rock her baby and make sure that he's safe and okay, and she'll love him, but maybe there's something that his dad could have said that mom wouldn't have thought about because mom is not built that way. Mom has not had that experience. Like I said, it doesn't necessarily mean that it would have changed his perspective or his decision, but it would have offered him something more. And if she would have been the one to give it to him, then I wish she would have just given him something other than it's how you feel. He doesn't know. Or maybe he knows, but he's confused. He needs something a little more solid, something that he doesn't yet have. So that's my rant on Keith's mom. I do love her, though, besides that. But yeah, I'm glad to see kind of Keith and Iris really get that door completely shut yesterday, because she came on and her whole affect was excited because there's the potential for something else, and you could tell her you could see her get a little irritated with him, and they're back and forth, and Keith is not giving her what she wants, and she's getting animated, and she checked him. Hey, these things that you said I wasn't, did we do those things? Yes, we did. And that's where Keith would have said, you know what, we did these things, but at the end of the day, it wasn't what I needed it to be, rather than saying, here's these things that you didn't do that they actually did. Because Iris was like, she pulled out her scroll and was like, check, check, check. But anyways, it didn't work out for them. The one thing I will say for Iris is Iris is speaking in third person, okay? She's living her best life in third person. And I want Iris to really, because I like that they did the follow-ups like a couple of months later or however long later it was after even the reunion, so that you could see what they were doing. But Iris is living Iris's best life, and it's kind of like, are you though? And I don't even mean that like to say, no, you're not, but it's okay to not be living your best life right now, because you really have to process these things. You don't just get to jump over the hurdle. You get to process these things to make them better, to make the experience better, to make whoever comes out on the other side of them better. And Iris has this very pageanty, I want world peace, like Vaseline on the teeth. It's okay not to be so great all the time. It's okay to say, I really struggled because I gave so much to this process, and I really wanted it to work out differently, and it took me aback. I didn't know it was going to happen. Like, I felt a little shaken for a minute, but I'm just reminding myself of how worthy I am, and how maybe there's somebody else for me. Maybe God's plan was for me to go through this and learn something about myself. You don't have to be all good, because even when decision day happened and she was crying on the couch, and I think we all were like gut punched with that whole experience, she was like, I'm at peace with it. What? It hasn't even happened. It's like happening. How could you be at peace with it right this second? I don't think that peace was authentic. And I think growth comes from being authentic in your experience. So if you are not in the best space, own that, because that will help you get to the best space genuinely, and that's long lasting. If we fake it that we're in a good space, that's when we have all this back and forth and this discourse with what we want and what we have, because we are not being genuine in what the experience is, and I've even learned that, where some people are like, how are you doing? And I'm like, girl, not good, not today, but it is what it is. Like, but I used to say, oh, great. Like, it's not always great. And there's such an empowerment in owning how you feel, because then you can face it and then you can move on and be genuinely happy. So that is what I would say for Iris. And for Keith, he will be fine. I love that she asked him if he was having sex, because I actually said that jokingly as I was watching with my husband. Have you had sex yet? Because I would have probably said that. Like, it's been so long, So I like that, like, they joked and they moved on, because they have to. And I think they both will be fine. So that is Iris and Keith. Next, who do we have? Jamie and Elizabeth. Jamie and Elizabeth, I'm not surprised that they're together. I'm hoping that things have calmed down behind the scenes. But I don't know that that's the case, because we see how Elizabeth kind of got really upset at Kevin because he kept asking her questions and she didn't want to answer it. And Elizabeth is Elizabeth, and so is Jamie, but Elizabeth is a little more outward with her everything, the way that she shows up and the way that she gets frustrated. And so we saw a little bit of that. So I don't think that died down because the cameras aren't there. I'm hoping that it dies down over time, though, because maybe somewhere in there they'll have some sort of longevity. They won't have longevity without like major changes, though, and I've always felt that way. Like, I was surprised that they gelled because they were so vastly different, but then I started to see, okay, there are some things that actually make them a good match when you take out all the drama and the chaos. So they're still vibing on that, and they're learning each other. It was a surprise to hear that they are moving to San Francisco together. I was a little worried though, because they're on shaky ground to me, just based on what we've seen. That's all we can go on. I'm like, oh, moving across the country together, like that really requires a strong foundation. It requires a strong level of commitment, and it requires you not to pack your cat up and leave every time, or pack your dog up and leave every time, things don't go your way, because it's really just you two. So you really have to rely on each other. You can't leave each other. Based on what we saw this season, that is a major jump for them. Like if Deanna and Greg would have said that, I'd been like, oh, okay, good for them. But with them, I'm like, it's almost like letting your kid out, and you're watching them get on the bus and you're not going to the event, and you're like, oh God, are they gonna make it? I hope they do. I hope things are better for them, and I hope they find ways to communicate in a healthy way and actually have longevity if that's what's meant to be for them. So that's pretty much it. That is Jamie and Elizabeth. Next we have Deanna and Greg. They're still doing really well. Clearly those baby rumors were just that. They were rumors. They're expecting a nephew. They're not expecting kids, but they did say that in about a year and a half, they are going to start trying, and they're both looking forward to it. They were stable throughout the season. They seem to be in a good place. They dropped the L-bomb, so that was cool. Even more surprising that Deanna dropped it first. And they joked about how Greg said it, because he said it after she had found things that he was like missing and stressing about. And it was just cute because they can like laugh at themselves. Like the first time he said I love you wasn't even in this like most romantic, extravagant way. It was like a funny, random I love you, but that was genuine, and she was happy about that, and she's made strides, okay, comparing to what we thought would be based on how she presented initially. And he's clearly giving her room, and they look so happy together. So Deanna and Greg are doing really well. They were one of my faves, and I'm glad to see that they're together, and I don't have any doubt that they will continue to be together. They will continue to learn each other and date each other and grow together and really build something that can stand the test of time. I can see that for them because they're both very intentional, and that's what I love about them. They're very intentional. They're very thoughtful about the process, about each other, about marriage, about how they're presenting, what they say. And yeah, sometimes that can be overkill, but I think the way that they do it has made them successful. So I think they'll always be that way because they are that way. They embody kind of that type of aesthetic, and they are that way. So I think they'll be fine. But yeah, I'm happy for them. So last but not least, we have Amber and Matt. Not gonna waste too much time on them. Matt is he is a piece of work, man. And that's all that I can say. I literally laughed out loud sometimes when I watched it because I was just like, this is wild how like obnoxious and how dismissive he is. He's not even trying to hide it. He is just like, it's almost like, yo, you gotta make it to 5 o'clock, and he's looking at his watch like, is it 5 yet? Cut me my check, get me out of here. He has moved on. He has no awareness that this was a real thing for everyone but him, and he doesn't care. And therapist hat off, I can't stand Matt. Like therapist hat off, want to punch him in the throat. Therapist hat on. He has a lot of stuff going on that has caused him to be able to detach so easily. And the thing is, we don't know what that is. We have bits and pieces, but looking at him now, is that even real? I think moving forward, they really, really need to vet beyond just, the background check and these people. They need to vet families. Like, I need some FaceTime with your family. Like, no family or no friends or no tribe that can really vouch for who you are. Red flag, red flag, red flag. Even if you seem to be a great contestant, red flag, because anybody can show up and present well. I mean, we could all do it, and that's where I'm in the middle with, the experts can only do so much. If I go to the doctor and I say I only have a cough, but I'm bleeding, but I hide my arm, well, they're gonna go based off of this cough. Like, they don't know. So he could have presented very well, and he's just, whatever trauma he has is why he can detach so easily and just be such a nasty person and make so many excuses that validate bad behavior and poor judgment. And that stuff he really has to work on, because he doesn't belong with anybody. It's not just Amber. He will do that to anybody. Yes, Amber was not his type. I knew that from the get-go. But he will do that to anyone because this is who he is now. So Matt is going to be, I always say you can't run away from yourself. Matt will be Matt everywhere he goes. And until he deals with that stuff, whatever that is, he's going to continue to hurt people. And I hope that, you know, everybody didn't watch the show, but I wish everybody watched the show so they could recognize him when he walks in. But yeah, he has some really deep-seated stuff, because nobody who's in a healthy place would get to this point where they are so dismissive and so conveniently oblivious to just the rules of engagement with this process. So that's Matt. I hope he gets, you know, I hope he gets some help and figures out his life. You know, just to leave it on a upward mobility note. Amber once again is a little of a concern for me, because Amber really frustrated me, actually. I would say there was a time where she was like talking to him a lot, and I know you guys will remember this, when she's saying, I'm just trying to get to be cordial, I just want to see him, I just want to, you know, she gave me stalker alerts. It's off the charts how and I love Amber, okay, and I feel bad for her, but here we're seeing, we have to like make her accountable, and we're seeing some of the reasons why maybe relationships didn't work out, or why she continues to get hurt, because she's like seeing the car coming. She's already been hit by it, but she's like getting ready to throw herself in front of the car again. Why would you want to be friends? Like, to me, hiding behind the cloak of wanting to be cordial is another way of wanting to maintain some attachment or some connection. I just want to, you know, have dinner or say hi, you know, I'll see him around, and I just want to be able to just be cordial and listen. Do you right now. The fact that she's still so hyper focused on him and how he feels and if he hates her, I was so annoyed with it, and she looked annoying at the time, and it was too much, and it really like upset me, because I'm sitting here, and I know a lot of you guys are sitting here wanting more for her. Sometimes, you know, the ending isn't happy. Hello, it didn't end up the way that you wanted, and it doesn't always end up cordial. And this is not even a person that, to me, right now, she should want to have a cordial association with. She should sever ties and work on herself, and get to a point where a cordial association is just that. But right now, with her level of attachment, and even her describing him, we're so good on paper together. Actually, y'all are not. You know, you guys are really not, because Matt is not even who he presented to be on paper. Not even being able to see that you guys are not really equally yoked in any capacity. And the stuff that you say, well, he likes basketball, so he's like sporty, and he's creative. Like, give me a break, okay? The stuff that really, really counts, I'm not seeing. And the fact that she can still say that, even though she was prompted by that question, I would have said, listen, I really don't know now that I look back at it, you know? The fact that she's still fighting for what could be lets me know that the cordial association that she's hiding behind is like another way to just continue to be, you know, attached to him in some kind of way. It's like not unfriending you from Facebook, but unfollowing you. But I can still be your friend and see you and stalk you. And what does that do? It only hurts you, because you're not dealing with the reality of what's going on, and you're hoping for more, and you're just putting yourself in an emotional state that is not going to be healthy. So once again, I want Amber to kind of really focus on herself, focus on what she deserves, and, you know, do some exercises that promote increase of self-esteem and increase of self-worth, because she doesn't, to me, if she really had good self-esteem and felt like she was worth it, she wouldn't even want to associate with somebody who treated her like that. It doesn't have to be, just because you sever ties doesn't mean that it has to be an ugly sever. It could be a very intentional, you know what, I don't need you in my life. Season, reason, lifetime. That's what you have people in your life for. Everybody doesn't have to stick around forever. You can put that to bed in a way that's healthy. And I think she's thinking, oh, if we can't be cordial, then it's a nasty thing. And your focus, your priorities are all out of order. You need to be the priority. So that's my 2 cents for Amber. But yeah, thank you guys for watching with me this season. I'm excited about the next season. I'm excited about new content that I'm going to be giving you guys. So once again, don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, let me know what you thought about this review and the reunion last night. And I'll see you guys soon. Everyone have a great week.